All right, we're going to try this third time's the charm. I see us this time, which is good. Oh, man, this standing up was for the birds. I think I should have sat down. That is okay. All right, so I think we're going to find out here in just a second how well YouTube is going to pull up. We should be good to go there. Let me make sure it's going to error. It shows that we're on the live setting, but it's not actually showing a show. So I think what we need to do is just go ahead and move forward because it is on Facebook, which means it's probably going to be on YouTube too. It's just giving us an issue. I don't know what that's all about. That. Oh, hold on. I see a change. Yep, there we go. We are definitely live. Okay, cool. So we can go ahead and pick up where we left off now. I'll try to go back in later and edit this so we get rid of all the short stuff in the beginning. Okay, Rabbi, we are live on Facebook and on YouTube, thankfully. So here we go.
I'm okay.
Don't worry about it. Just trust me on this. Is the devil
don't worry
real?
about anything. Okay.
That's where we're going tonight.
The point I was making before we got so rudely interrupted
yeah.
Is that the whole issue with the devil is that Judaism is going to flatly reject anything that even remotely contrasts with the strictness of Jewish monotheism. One God, indivisible, a unique concept. And so the idea of a devil competing against God for human souls, who is the the God of this world, Judaism is going to flatly reject on its face because it contrasts so strongly with monotheism.
Okay.
So if one were to take a look at Isaiah 45 verses 5 through 7, Isaiah 45 verses 5 through 7.
You're going to just go without me on that one for a minute.
Okay. Well, Isaiah 45 verses 5 through 7 specifically state, I am the eternal, there is none else, there is no God besides me. I girded you, though you do not know me, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none besides me. I am the eternal, there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the eternal, do all these things.
Right. Create evil.
I'm sorry, what?
And create evil, it even says.
And create evil.
Right.
So God is eliminating the Zoroastrian idea of a God of light and a God of darkness, a God of good and a God of bad, and just saying God is the one responsible for all of it.
Right.
Every year I do an Introduction to Judaism class. It's also the same class that people who convert to Judaism through me must take. And the process is 2 years, but the class is roughly, let's say, August through June. And I had a minister take the class because he wanted to know about what Jews actually believe as opposed to what Christianity teaches Jews believe. And the first thing we did was we talked about the dualism of believing in the devil who fights against God over human souls. And I quoted this Isaiah 45 verses 5 through 7. And he was so upset with the idea that God creates evil, even though it's literally, simply, clearly what the text says. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the eternal, do all these things. He was so upset he got up and walked out and never came back. Okay. So the point is that God, through Isaiah, explicitly states that God is responsible not only for the good, but also for the evil in the world. Little germies that make people sick came from somewhere.
Right.
God had to have invented them, and so God becomes responsible. So the idea of a devil being the God of this earth, which we'll get to at the end of our conversation, just isn't going to cut it when it comes to monotheism and Judaism. So what Jews don't believe in is the devil, but we do believe in the Satan. And our biblical text explicitly speaks of the Satan.
So what you need to do right now, if you don't mind, is, I know you're probably going to anyway, but just in case you weren't, what's the difference between the devil and Satan?
Okay, the Satan is how the biblical text, not quite, but almost every time refers to the Satan, is the biblical term for this entity, this being The devil is the word that Christians use. Now, Christians also use the word Satan, but they use it interchangeably with the word devil. And I use it to contrast the Christian concept of devil with the biblical Jewish idea of the Satan. In Christianity, it's the same character, same person, same entity, same personality, same job description, same everything. Okay, in Judaism, we talk about the Satan, we don't talk about the devil. And the concept of the Satan is totally different than the Christian concept of the devil. And we'll also get to that in a few minutes too.
Okay.
So if you take a look at the Bible, Job mentions the Satan, Zechariah mentions the Satan, and I believe 2 Chronicles mentions the Satan, and I think the Satan is mentioned in 4 places in those 3 books. 3 books. And so the description you have in the Bible of who the Satan is and what he does is radically different from the Christian concept. So let's talk about the Jewish concept and the biblical concept, which is the same concept first. So I would turn to Job chapter 2, verses 3 through 6. It's a very clear indication of the Satan. Okay? In the first chapter, which we're not going to bother looking at, just look at it yourself. The Satan is in heaven, hasn't been kicked out of heaven, is in heaven with all the other angels, okay? And God says to the Satan, hey, man, how do you like my man Job? Isn't he wonderful? And the Satan says, well, of course he's wonderful. You give him everything he wants, start taking that stuff away, and you'll see he's not really that wonderful. And so so God says to the Satan, do with him, as you like. So bad things start happening to Job, but Job holds fast to his faith. He just wants one simple thing. He wants God to explain why this is happening. What did Job do to deserve this? We know, because we're seeing the preamble to the text, is that this was based on a conversation between the Satan and God. But Job doesn't know that. So initially, Job has all these bad things happen, and that brings us to Job chapter 2, verses 3 through 6. They're in heaven. Yes, the Satan is in heaven again. The Eternal said unto the Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that fears God and eschews evil? Notice that the biblical text calls him a perfect and an upright man.
Right.
So the whole Christian idea of, you can't be perfect. Well, actually, no, the Bible says here, and in speaking of Noah, yeah, you can. Few people do, but nevertheless, it's possible. Okay, at any rate. So God says, have you considered Job? And then he continues by saying, and still Job holds fast his integrity, although you, that's the Satan, moved me, that means God, against him, against Job, to destroy him without cause. And the Satan answered the Eternal and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man has he will give for his life. Put forth your hand, Satan is speaking, talking to God, put forth your hand, God, now, and touch his bone and his flesh, that's Job's bone and flesh, and he, Job, will curse you, God, to your face. And the Eternal said to Satan, behold, he's in your hand, but save his life. In other words, notice what this is saying. It's saying that the Satan is an angel in God, in heaven. He works for God, not against God. He's like a district attorney in the court where God is the judge, and he's the prosecuting attorney asking God for a sting operation against this guy Job to see how he'll react. And that is how Judaism understands the Satan, explicitly in the biblical text. The Satan works for God, not against God. The Satan is an angel who never fell from heaven. We'll get to that in a few minutes. And he holds sting operations against human beings, tempting them, what's the other word? What's the other word? Starts with an A. I can't remember the name. The word. Advocate. Okay, he not advocate. What's the word?
Don't know.
I can't think of the word. It'll come up.
Aggravate.
Okay. What?
Aggravate.
Nah. At any rate, the point is that the Satan works for God, not against God. The Satan doesn't fight against God over human souls. Okay, we'll see that this comes straight from paganism and idolatry. That's how it gets into Christianity. And Judaism, through Isaiah 45, 5 through 7, which we just talked about, completely rejects that concept. Okay. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1 through 2, Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1 through 2, you have what looks like something out of Law and Order, where you've got a judge handing down a judgment in a court case. And Zechariah chapter 3, verses 1 through 2 reads, "And he showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of the Eternal, and the Satan standing at his right hand to accuse him. And the Eternal said unto Satan, the Eternal rebukes you, O Satan. Even the Eternal that has chosen Jerusalem rebukes you. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire?" So here you have Joshua, like in court, and it says standing before the angel of the Eternal. That means the defense attorney. And the Satan standing at his right hand to accuse him, to resist him, which means the prosecuting attorney, where God is the judge. And the Eternal, that's the judge, says to the Satan, "The Eternal rebukes you, O Satan. Even the Eternal that has chosen Jerusalem rebukes you. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire?" What's going on? What's going on is Joshua the high priest was sent into exile. The exile is over. God is contemplating sending the Jews back to Jerusalem, forgiving them for their sin, and giving them back their country, which is pretty much what happened under Cyrus of Persia. Okay, so it's like a court case. The Satan is saying, he was exiled. He's not worthy to go back. And the Eternal sides for the defense against the prosecuted attorney, which is the Satan. And he says, "The Eternal rebukes you, O Satan. The Eternal that has chosen Jerusalem rebukes you. This," meaning the high priest Joshua, "is like a brand plucked out of the fire." What happens when a brand is in a fire? It gets purified. So Joshua the high priest, by going into the Babylonian exile, is now purified, and he's now worthy to come back and rebuild the temple and be the high priest there. That's what this paragraph is saying. But look how it describes the Satan. He's a prosecuting attorney. Okay, he's there to resist or to work against the angel of the Eternal, which is the defense attorney, and God sides for the defense against the prosecuting attorney, which is the Satan. You can't get clearer than that. Right, in a nutshell, that's how Judaism views the Satan. Okay? In more superstitious texts of the Jewish community over the past 1,500 years, you get the superstition that comes in. All right? But by and large, that's how Judaism takes a look at the Satan. The Satan cannot work against God. Then all of a sudden you have two gods. The Satan didn't fall from heaven or get kicked out of heaven as an evil. How do you have evil in heaven? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that brings us to, what's it called? That brings us to Isaiah chapter 14.
Okay.
Verses 4 through 17. Okay, and this is how, look, people have a theory that Christianity misreads something from the Bible, and because they misread it, that's where they get their new theology from. They're misreading. That's not how it works. What happens is that they are looking at the Hebrew Scriptures through their Christian-colored glasses, and therefore they see in the Hebrew Scriptures something that they think reflects their already existing, already believed in belief system. Okay?
Okay.
So Isaiah 14, verses 4 through 17. Before we take a look at verses 4 through 17, take a look at verse 12.
Very good.
Okay, just center in on verse 12. Forget the context is what I'm saying.
How have you fallen from heaven, the morning star?
Right.
You have been cut
and how do
down
you
to
say
earth.
morning star? Okay. In Greek or Latin? Greek. Lucifer. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Which means bearer of light. And it's a reflection of the morning star, which is actually Venus. Okay. Oh, well, that's Lucifer. Lucifer is the devil. So that's obviously talking about the devil. And that's where they get the problem. Since they believe in a devil, they think this is already going to be talking about their already existing belief in it, in the existence of a devil.
Right.
But if you go to chapter 14, verses 4 through 17, and look at the context in which this is brought out, look at verse 4.
Okay, it says, and you shall bear this parable against the king of Babylon.
So from the very beginning, verse 4, it tells you who this whole thing is about. It's about the king of Babylon, okay? The mighty king of Babylon, the mighty king who took over the promised land, the mighty king whose empire was far from the west to all far from the east, okay?
Right.
Babylon took over a lot of the Mediterranean land, okay, which included, Israel and Jerusalem, and eventually, burned the temple and all that stuff. Exiled the people into the Babylonian exile. So he's the number one king. He's the powerful. And guess what? Under Cyrus of Persia, the Persians beat him. And so this is a taunt against the king of Babylon. Okay? You shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. It's explicitly who this is talking about. And say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The eternal has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. The golden city is Babylon. It ceased. The oppressor is the king of Babylon, who has stopped he's lost the war. He's gone. The eternal broke the staff of the wicked. Again, that's the king of Babylon. And the scepter is the symbol of being the king of the rulers. It's broken by God. Okay, jump to verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved for you. Again, it's the king of Babylon. Hell from beneath is moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth, and has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Hey, you may be king, and you may be king of Babylon, and you may be winning all these wars and taking over the country, but guess what? You're going to wind up in the afterlife dead just like everybody else. Okay, verse 11, your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your vials, the worm is spread under you, and the worms cover you. Because that's what happens to everybody's body. Then it says, how are you fallen from heaven, O light bearer, son of the morning? In other words, a reference to the morning star. How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, Sheol, the unknown, the afterlife, to the sides of the pit. They that see you shall narrowly look upon you, squinty-eyed, and consider you, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, and opened not the house of his prisoners? In other words, you were great and king, now you're just a dead man. You were king of Babylon, but Persia beat the crap out of you. Okay? You were powerful, and now you've got no power. Okay, you were alive and vibrant, and now you're just covered in worms. You're in the grave. Okay, it explicitly says it's talking about the king of Babylon. It's not talking about falling from heaven, O Lucifer, like a devil who fell from heaven because he was rebelling against God. How can you have evil in heaven? It just makes no sense. Okay, now I'm not sure you can see this. Let's see if I can. No, I can't. Okay. Let me try to do this. Okay. You've got a horizon.
Right.
Okay. You've got the morning star is on the opposite side of the horizon from the sun. So you got the morning star, and you've got the sun. As the sun rises in the sky, the morning star is going to dip below the horizon.
Okay.
And so what are they saying here? It's like the star in heaven has fallen below the horizon as if it's gone into the earth.
Right.
the image is like the illusion they're making it to is like somebody in the heaven, the stars, who falls to Sheol, who falls into hell. But what's happening is they're likening him to a star that has its glory day, but now it's defunct. It's gone. Like the image of the morning star, Venus, going below the horizon when the sun rises. So that's this whole thing about him descending into hell.
Right.
Okay. What's beeping? Hello, you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Well, at any rate.
All right.
Okay. So, yeah. Not quite sure. Okay. So, all right. Now, so where did this whole idea of a God in heaven or a devil figure in heaven trying to rebel against God, who winds up in the king of the underworld, the lord of the river of the dead? Where does that come from? And now put up the text from the myth of Athtar.
Okay.
Athtar was the Canaanite god of the underworld. But there's a whole myth surrounding Athtar. I'm not sure exactly when, you can Google it, but there's something called the Ras Shamra texts.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
RASSHAMRA, the Ras Shamra texts.
Right.
These were Canaanite written texts that were discovered by archaeologists that had a whole slew of the Canaanite mythology written out on it. One of those myths was the myth of the god of Athtar. And what does that Ras Shamra text say? Okay, it says, "Then Athtar, the awesome, climbed Mount Zaphon, ascended the throne of Baal the Almighty, but his feet did not reach the footstool, his head did not touch the headrest. Then Athtar the awesome spoke, I cannot serve as king, I cannot dwell on the heights of Zaphon. So Athtar the awesome descended, stepped down from the throne of Baal the Almighty, he became king of the underworld, lord of the river of the dead." Does that sound familiar? He's trying to take over the throne, but he's not big enough to fit in his shoes, so to speak.
Right.
Okay, on the throne, and so he becomes king of the underworld, lord of the river of the dead. That's where they get the whole devil versus God business, and the whole idea of rebelling against God in the heavens and getting cast out. It's Ras Shamra text is Canaanite mythology. Okay, two final things I want to say about this whole, we don't believe in the devil, we do believe in the Satan.
Right.
Bring up, if you can, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4.
All right,
2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4.
Let me put up a different software here. 1 second. All right. 2 Corinthians 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. 1 second.
If you want a statement of blatant polytheism, okay, the idea of more than one God in the universe, here is your prime case, and especially shows why Christianity isn't monotheism. Okay? This is chapter 4, verse 4 of 2 Corinthians.
Right.
Okay? So let's look at it. This is talking about the devil. It says, "In whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them." It is saying that the devil is the god of this world, and the god of this world, who is the devil, blinds those who refuse to believe in Jesus, because if they don't believe in Jesus, then the light of the glorious gospel of Christ would actually shine on them if they actually believed.
Now, also to point out something you said before on another show. If they believe that Satan is the god of this world, then they'd believe in more than a trinity. They believe there are four gods.
That's my whole point.
Right.
That's why this whole devil business is not monotheism from the outset and must be rejected outright.
Right.
And this is going to come into play later when we talk into other subjects of this, why the Jews will never accept Jesus miniseries, okay, because of the stark contrast between Judaism and Christianity on who's responsible for my behavior.
Right.
And every time we talk about this, I make fun of it, and I'm going to again, but it's, what's his name, the comedian, the devil made me do it.
I don't remember.
I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Whatever.
That's okay.
Okay, so
sound like a Saturday Night Live thing.
Yeah, no, that wasn't Saturday Night Live. He had his own comedy show.
Oh.
I can't think of his name. The devil made me do it. And he used to dress up as a woman and had a character.
No, that was Saturday Night Live. That was Dana.
Flip Wilson, Anthony, thank you. It's Flip
Oh.
Wilson. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Paula.
So they actually repeated that.
I never remember people's names.
Hey, they repeated that theme on Saturday Night Live with guy that played on Tommy Boy with Chris Farley.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, he played the church lady.
Scruffy was right.
Yeah.
Jew Who Swings Snakes was right. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and yeah, it was Flip Wilson. Thank you.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Okay. So where are we going next?
Okay, Michelle, you're right. Flip Wilson. All right. So at any rate, but by the way, they'll say, oh well, it doesn't really mean God. Well, guess what? If you take a look at the Greek of chapter 4, verse 4 of 1 Corinthians, of whatever it was. What did we say it was? 2 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Okay. The word there for God of this world is exactly the same word for God in the text, who is the image of God.
Ah.
In whom the God Theos, Theos, okay, spelled in Greek letters, in whom the Theos of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe it not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of Theos, should shine unto them. It's the same word for God of this world, meaning the devil, as it is for the image of God. The word God is the same in reference to their Jesus.
That's mighty convenient. I mean, they're doing the same thing on other texts as they are doing with the whole idea with Messiah, the word Messiah and their interpolation.
Right.
So,
right.
Wow.
Well, we use the same words, but we have totally different beliefs. We'll get to that more as we get deeper into the mini-series too.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so that's why Judaism rejects the Christian concept of the devil, even though we do in fact have a concept of the Satan.
So in short, Satan is not the enemy of God. He's not the God of this world. He's an employee. He's Inspector 12, if you want to look at it that way.
You want to know the best example I was given? I can't remember who I heard this from. It could have been Tovia. I can't remember who said it. But at any rate, could have been Michael. I don't remember. At any rate, the point is that did you ever see the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yes.
Okay, the original, not the one with.
No, I'd like the Johnny Depp version.
I cannot stand the Johnny Depp version. At any rate,
well, you probably have right too.
There's a guy in the movie and the book. Okay. Wait a minute. IMDb.com. Okay, and it is.
Trying to get the chat where I can actually see it. There we go. Okay.
Why did I have the wrong name? So it's not Charlie the Chocolate Factory. That's the new one. Okay, look at the name. I hate when I do this. Don't you hate when I do this? I hate when I do this. What's the other name for the movie? It wasn't Charlie the Chocolate Factory.
That's the only one I've ever heard.
What's the name of the chocolate maker?
I don't know. Oh, Hershey's, whatever. You talking about Hershey's?
No, come on.
Hey, you asked me the chocolate maker. It makes Hershey's. Hershey's candy bars. Twix, Butterfinger. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I don't know what I'm not what you're fishing for.
Okay.
We could Google it. That's for sure.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Okay. Willy Wonka and there we go. 1971.
So Pablo Bazea says, why does Jesus do miracles? Because Satan...
Slugworth.
Rabbi.
What? Yes,
listen.
sorry.
Pablo Bazea says, he says, I disagree. Says, why does Jesus do miracles? Because Satan is an illusionist who tried to deceive the world, preemptively attacking the Messiah's coming.
It's not that he's deceiving the world. It's that he's doing exactly what his job description entails,
right,
which is to offer people a false god and see if they'll fall for it. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what he's doing in your description. He's offering people a false god in idolatry and see if they'll follow it. Okay, so Slugworth. Slugworth is the guy I'm talking about in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Paula Wallace said Slugworth is Hasatan.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly my point. He's the perfect example of Hasatan, of the Satan.
Got it.
Because he's trying to get the kids to steal for him, and he offers them lots of money if they'll do it. Okay? And you find out at the end of the movie that he's actually working for Willy Wonka himself, and he's trying to entice them to see if they're good people and therefore worthy to take over the chocolate factory. Well, that's exactly what the Satan does.
Okay, so tell me this real quick. This is a comment by Denai. It says, Jesus came to destroy the works of the devil. What would you say to that?
Therefore, he's a failure because everybody's still afraid of the devil in Christianity.
Oh,
if he came to destroy the works of the devil and people
point.
are still afraid of the devil, then Jesus didn't destroy the works of the devil.
That is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely.
No, it's obvious.
Yeah.
If and by the way, isn't it interesting that in the Christian's New Testament, when Jesus is shown the world by the devil, okay, and he says, I can give all of this to you. Well, my Bible teaches me that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And if Jesus was supposedly God, he'd already own it.
Okay, Rabbi, I need you to go ahead. After you're done, I need you to comment on something.
Okay, but my point is that the devil doesn't recognize Jesus as God, or why would he say to Jesus, I will give you what you already own? Why does Jesus why does the devil tempt Jesus if the devil thinks Jesus is God?
Right.
If the devil knew he was God, he wouldn't say to Jesus, if the devil thought that Jesus was divine, was God, he wouldn't say, follow me and I'll give you everything, because he'd know that Jesus as God already owned everything.
Right.
Am I clear?
Yes. Now I need you to go here.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm going to repeat Pablo Bazelis, because this is actually a really well packaged question.
Okay.
And I want you to take this and spend some time with it. Ready? Why are we assuming that Satan is on God's payroll? That's a really great question.
Well, if he's an angel with a specific task to do, and it says in the text of Genesis that God made the hosts of heaven, which not only means the sun, moon, and stars and everything else, it also means the armies of the heaven, which would include all angels, which would include the Satan, then he works for God. To me, it's a logical conclusion. If God made the angels and Satan is an angel, then the angels, which would include the Satan, work for God.
But the thing is, Christianity teaches that a third of the angels got cast down from heaven, and Satan became the god of this world, who does not work for God. So how do you refute that?
Because it's not biblical. Where in the Bible does it ever say that the devil? Where does it say that the Satan, fights against God and gets kicked out?
But to further that, where does it not say it? Where does it say that's not possible? Why do you believe that that's not a possibility? Is there something in the text that in other stories, like with Job, with everything else?
The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein. Everything belongs to God. Isaiah 45 verses 5 through 7, which we already read tonight, explicitly says,
Good.
I make peace and create evil.
Very nice.
This means it's all God, not a devil. And the description of Genesis chapter 1, maybe, I can't, okay. And it says that God made the hosts of heaven. Okay. That means the angel. God is the Lord of hosts. Hosts means army. Army means angels. And that would include the Satan.
That's really good. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, moving on. Okay, so Devin asked, does the oral Torah say anything about Hasatan?
Of course it does.
Okay.
But the description that is going to be given is going to be much, much more in terms of the biblical description than it is going to be the Christian description. Hello?
I'm still here. I'm reading. Oh. I'm listening to you and also reading, looking at the chat.
Donai reads, does God create rape, murder, incest? God forbid. Well, guess what? God doesn't create. Let's start over. God does not say, hey, human, go rape that girl. Hey, human, go murder that person. Right. Hey, human, go commit incest. But God made it possible.
Right. He made it possible that we all are very...
God says, okay, I've put before you a choice to do good or to do evil, but it's your choice. You're responsible. You got free will. Make up your mind. Do what you're going to have bad thoughts, but don't follow those thoughts.
Right. I mean, he created us to be creative like him, so we have the power to create in our own mind.
And so we have the power to do bad, and we have the power to do good.
So,
But we become responsible. But you have to understand, God created the ability for humans to rape and murder and commit incest.
Right.
When the Bible, look, unless you're going to call Isaiah a liar, unless you're going to call God in Isaiah a liar, where God says, I create peace and create evil.
Right.
Unless you want to say there are two gods, and that there's God in heaven above. Oh, that's another thing, which we didn't talk about yet. Okay?
Real quickly, no, Satan does not have free will.
I'm sorry, what? Go ahead.
Does Satan have free will, yes or no?
No, he's an angel who does the will of God, like
There's
all other angels.
And just to be fair to all the other viewers, I'm not going to comment any more questions on the same person because I've given you like 3 or 4 already. So if you want to know any more, tune into all the other 600 shows we have. We've covered every possible angle you could ever imagine. So moving on.
Just 2 more things.
No, you take as much time as you want.
If the Satan has will of his own, why does he have to go to God to get permission to do what he did to Job? Why does he have to say, put your hand forth and do this to Job, instead of saying, hey, God, I'm going to do it myself? If he's got free will, he's got to get permission to do the sting operation, like a district attorney or prosecuting attorney has to get permission from a judge to do it. That's one thing. Second thing I wanted to say is, just to show you how pagan this Christian idea is, Greece has Zeus, head god of Olympus, and Hades, the god of the underworld, the god of where people go, whatever. Rome has Jupiter as the head god, and Pluto, the god of the underworld. And Christianity has God and devil. Zeus, Hades is the same as Jupiter, Pluto, which is the same as God versus devil. That's it. That's all I want to say. Okay.
Okay, good. That works. Okay, so moving forward. So let me put up this other screen real fast. Good deal. Whoops, that's not the right one I see. I feel like Tiny Tim on that one. Okay, so...
wait a minute. Where does it say angels took earthly wives? I think what it says is...
No, there was some midrash that actually says that.
What?
There's midrashim that actually says that the angels had come down and... Oh, no. Actually, that's not true. It actually says it in the Torah. It says that
but it's not angels.
I know. It's the Nephilim. The Nephilim.
Right. Ones, the fallen ones.
Right. So what's the difference between a Nephilim and an angel? What's the difference?
An angel is a creation of God. There's a term, which let my program come up because I have a slow computer. It talks about these let's see. I know it's Genesis. Can't remember where it's at. Probably 7, let's say. Nope, 6.
Big shout out to everybody who is working, like correlating together with YouTube. Thank you.
Here we go.
Thank you, because you guys are really helping answer a lot of questions.
All right,
really
Genesis
appreciate
chapter
that.
6. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so just giving a shout out to the admins on YouTube, the moderators, I mean. And so a lot of people are actually pitching in, helping to answer questions, which is really good. It looks like all the questions being answered are in line with proper teachings for the most part, so that's good. Thank you guys for helping out there. I really appreciate that. Andrea, thank you for your help. Larry Beck, love you guys. And if I missed you, don't be a hater. So I'm a lover, not a fighter. Okay, Rabbi, go ahead.
All right, Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, verse 2, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Sons of God. Well, look, first of all, if Jesus is a son of God, and this says the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and took them as wives, I guess that means that Jesus saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and Jesus took one of them as a wife.
Right.
But that's not what it says. What it says is B'nai Elohim, B'nai ben, son of. William, if I call you a son of Kingsland, Texas, it means you're a member or a citizen there, right?
Right.
If I talk to a congregant and I say, you're a son of this congregation, it doesn't mean the congregation gave birth to them. It means they're a member. So when it says B'nai Elohim in Genesis 6:2, let's make sure, B'nai Ha-Elohim, it means the members of the powerful ones. Remember, El, Eloha, Elohim, all are derived from the root, which means power. So Elohim are referred to here as the powerful ones, the children of powerful ones. Okay, they saw the daughters of men, and it doesn't say they themselves weren't men. Maybe they were the powerful men who saw the sons of other men. Okay, Elohim is also used in the Ten Commandments to refer to pagan gods, idolatrous gods. Don't have any other gods before me, Elohim. Moses is told by God that Moses is told by God that God will make Moses into an Elohim for Pharaoh, a power to Pharaoh, not God. Pharaoh didn't bow down to Moses, but he recognized Moses' power. So it doesn't say angels there, is my point. So, okay, did I answer that? I think I answered that. Where'd it go?
Yeah, I think so too.
Hello?
I'm here.
Okay. So did I answer that?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, here, Devin. So literally it would be sons of powerful ones, maybe powerful leaders. I agree. So, okay. Wait, what was written with a sin and not a samach? I have no idea what that refers to.
Let me check and see if I can figure it out to you.
Yeah.
We shall see. Un momento, por favor. Okay, where are you? Okay, so should we open the phone lines, or do you want to? Let's go. We actually have a lot of questions coming in on YouTube right now. I think we should probably stick with that.
Donai writes, believe me, I wish all my heart you guys were right, but the truth of the devil's existence is all too obvious in our fallen world. The reason why the world is fallen is because human beings make the choice to make it fall.
Right.
Okay, it's not a devil. That you know something, Donai? I hope you're on jury if God forbid I ever get hauled before court, because I will say to you directly, I didn't do it. God ordained it to be this way. The devil made me do it. It's not my fault. And you will have to set me free, because you have to blame the devil for the fallen world, not me and my act. Okay, let's see. Pablo, you're very welcome. Okay.
I would like to just say one thing directly to Donai. And who was it? There was two of them there who was actually asking questions. So Donai is pointing out some interesting Christian points, and so is, where'd it go? The other gentleman that we've answered 3 or 4 of his questions, Pablo. So where does it say anywhere in the New Testament? And Rabbi, this is not for you. This is specifically for them. I don't even want any of the other viewers to answer this. I want them to answer it in text. Where does it say that their God would be born from a virgin? That's what I want to know. And then where does it say the sin sacrifice have to be blood? There, take those two. If you can answer those two, we'll answer more of your questions. How's that? That'll work. All right, Rabbi. Moving forward.
All right, what's our next topic?
I think the next topic is fixing to happen right now because I just opened up the phone lines. 855-95-BIBLE. Wait a minute. Really? Oh, my gosh. This is funny.
What's the matter?
Oh, I've got to reset it. I was going to be all cool and clever and actually log in right at the perfect time, but apparently that didn't work. So, yeah, I got software updating. Man, I used to have a choice. Oh, wait, there it goes. Hold on. Nope, it worked. Okay, we're logged in. Good. Okay, 855-952-4253. If you have a question, call in now. That would be awesome. We've got you here. I'll put the phone number up on your screen just because we can. In 5 minutes. Well, there it is right there at the top of your screen. 855-952-4253.
Nobody cares if you're an atheist.
Yeah, that's okay. Can angel serve as a witness? It matters.
Always amazes me that when people become atheists out of Christianity, I'm not saying he became a Christian. He became an atheist out of Christianity, but those who do become a Christian those who do become an atheist
out of Christianity,
the only thing they take with them when they leave is their misconceptions of Judaism, which they learned from the Christianity that they left behind.
Yeah, that is very, very true. I couldn't agree more. I've actually met teachers who have. What happens is they find out that the New Testament is wrong, so they throw the entire Bible out instead of trying to find out if Tanakh, if the Hebrew Scriptures, aka Old Testament, is correct.
But they still maintain a Christian view of what that Tanakh says.
Right, totally true.
So even though they're rejecting Christianity, they wind up still taking with them the misconceptions, mistranslations, misunderstandings of Judaism and the Bible that they learned from the Christianity they left.
Right, very true. Well, if anybody's got a question they'd like to put on the air, call in right now. We've got about 10 minutes left. Almost 15 minutes, actually. We started late, because we were running into issues with the other software, so very good. What if Satan is the father of Jesus? You know what? That's a crazy idea, and she says, LOL. I totally dig that. That's a really cool question, actually.
I think it's just as silly as
funny.
Saying God is
it is silly, but it's fun. Hey, you have to ask these questions. I mean, the thing about it is, if you're not creative in the way you research, then you're not going to be fully. You're not going to be able to expound on it completely. You know, I would much rather somebody come up with a lot of crazy questions so we can mark them off the list than to say I never thought about that. You know what I mean?
Can I just say one thing real quick?
Sure.
I know I'm weird, but Joseph, I don't agree. I don't think it's better to be an atheist than Christian, and here's why. At least if a person claims to be a Christian, I can say to them, your behavior is not concurrent with what you claim Christian morals should be. But an atheist has no standard of their behavior except their own whim. Okay, if a Christian does something bad, I can say to the Christian, hey, your Christianity you claim to be a part of doesn't say you're supposed to do that, so stop doing it. But if an atheist does something bad, what's the standard of behavior that I'm holding them to? So, yeah, I have a lot more disagreement with Christianity, and I have a lot of disagreement with atheism. But the point is that I'd almost rather a person be a Christian than be an atheist, because at least a Christian, I have a standard of their behavior to compare them with. Whereas an atheist merely is someone who rejects all religion. I'm not saying they can't be moral, but where their morals derive from.
Oh, we got a call. Let's take it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Let me get over here with the right mouse so I can answer it. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Colorado. My name's Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, you guys. I'm trying to find out if an angel can serve as a witness with a marriage, like how Joseph said an angel came to him,
right?
And that's how he knows she was impregnated.
I wouldn't think so.
Does
because
that serve as a true witness?
I don't think so, because they're like they're messengers. They're not.
Yeah, and right there he's serving a message. He's not bearing a witness. He's serving notice.
Right. He was just asking.
That's how I understand it.
It's actually a good question. What was the reason
why I'm asking that is because if they were truthfully following Judaism, Joseph and Mary, wouldn't she have to go drink Shota water?
Yes.
Because there is no real witness.
Right.
Right.
If they were
And then
observant
that would have
Judaism.
actually gave them a claim of having at least a prophet, but they never did that. So
Nope.
Well, it says he was trying. He
so I'm
was
just
trying
to make sure that's right.
Well, I mean, I get why they didn't, because it says that Joseph was trying to not make a big scene out of it, so he actually hid the matter, and was made. You sort of act like it was his own
Yeah,
child.
tried to sweep it under a carpet.
Yeah. So.
And by the way, why is that written? It's written
just so
to
that you will
explain-
believe.
Well, no, it's written as a way to
but if
explain
you have-
why
but if you have
there's
any
no
doubt,
record of
though-
Joseph complaining.
Say that
Yeah,
again,
but
Alex.
if he had any doubt, isn't he as a husband instantly supposed to follow the faith no matter what? Go down
Yep.
to the T and go drink the water. Well, she didn't drink the water.
If he was
and
righteous,
had she
yeah.
have done that, she
Right.
would have. Well, if she was righteous, isn't she bound to have a righteous kid that could be a prophet or something?
Right.
But they never did none of that. So I just wanted to make sure that what I'm saying is right, that angel
believe
is
it
not
is.
a witness.
Well, it is,
It's
but
a-
there's another aspect that just to kind of further a point here is that just because they're religious Jews doesn't necessarily mean that they follow every single. Like, for example, there's a law in the Torah that says that if your child becomes a drunk and an abusive or whatever the case may be, it says you should take him outside the gates and stone him to death. But there's never ever been any record of anybody ever doing that in the entire
William.
history of mankind. So.
William,
Just because it says the law is there doesn't mean that they're not going to be afraid to go. It's like, I don't want to put my wife to death. I could see why he wouldn't. He would want to hide it under the rug, right?
William,
Yes.
why is it that there's no record of any kid being stoned?
Because they didn't have marijuana back then. Sorry. No, why? Hey,
Everybody must get stoned. No, that's not
No.
why.
Okay.
It's a very subtle thing about the text, but read the text carefully.
Okay.
It says if a rebellious kid can't be controlled by the parents, then the parents go to the elders at the gate, or so, I can't remember exactly, but they go to the elders and look at exactly what they say to the elders. It says he's rebellious and he will not listen to us and he's a drunk.
Right.
Wait a minute. The text never said he was a drunk.
Okay.
So if there's no witnesses to his being a drunk, okay, the courts are not, but they're not going to find him guilty and have him stoned
Right.
because they can't. He's not a drunk.
Because he has
The
to have guilty of all
accusations don't
three.
match.
Oh,
But
yeah.
guess what?
Oh, nice.
If you were a rebellious kid, wouldn't that experience scare you straight?
Yeah. Right.
So the whole point of that act is to scare the kid into obedience.
So is
Which,
it
by the
not
way,
is
there
it
was a
not the
TV
same
show called
point
Scared
of?
Straight.
Okay, so for the people who some people may not be aware of what that water is, but so basically, in Torah it says that if a man becomes suspicious of his wife committing adultery, he has to go to the priest, and the priest is supposed to take some of the dust from the floor and mix it in the water or whatever and have her drink it. And if she's guilty, then it says that her thigh will rot and blah blah blah, which basically means technically I think that says she can't have kids or whatever. But so that's kind of the test. But if that's true what you're saying, which I'm not saying it's not, I'm just saying if that's true what you're saying, Rabbi, then would it not be a possibility that same scenario was fit for the adulterous woman scenario as well?
It might be.
Okay.
There is a saying, which I must tell you I made up.
Okay. Hey, Alex, do you want to go ahead and hang up, or do you want to refine your question a little bit? Or are you satisfied?
No. You guys are literally answering. I really appreciate
Super
both your
cool.
time. You have a great night, Rabbi, and thank you so much, William. You have a great
Our
night.
pleasure.
Okay, brother. Thank you, man. Talk to you soon. Okay, phone line's back open, guys.
All right, so I forgot already to say what you
That's
what you
okay.
just.
I was talking about the is it possible that the whole idea of scaring women straight?
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Right.
There's a saying, and I'm the one who made it up, and I believe it wholeheartedly,
Okay.
and that is, in the same way that a computer is applied mathematics, so is religion applied psychology.
Interesting.
Applied psychology. So you've got this woman who is, oh my God, I'm going to be found out,
Right.
and she's going to respond physiologically accordingly. And same thing with the kid. He's being scared straight, just like the TV show. Okay, take the
Right.
call.
Okay, caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hello, my name is Maximo.
Hey,
I'm
Maxwell,
from
how are you?
Adelaide.
Welcome.
Good, how are you?
Hi.
Yes, I think I have to pause my
That's fine.
thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Pause your thing or turn it down so that way it doesn't echo.
Yeah,
Very good.
okay. So my question is, when a Christian comes outside, some are still concerned about their eternal salvation.
Okay, so right now it's breaking
how-
up. It's Maximo. It's breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure why. I don't know if you've got.
Speak more slowly, and it may help.
Yeah. Talk a little slower and just see if that'll help.
Okay, all right. Okay, so when a Christian becomes a Noahide, some are still concerned about their eternal salvation.
About what?
How can a Noahide know they've been saved?
Okay, so a Noahide. Okay, I got it, Rabbi. Hang on. So he's saying when a Christian becomes Noahide, sometimes they're still worried about their own soul. How can a Noahide actually know that they're actually saved and will have a part in the world to come? Is that correct, Maximo?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, very good. Let's go and disconnect and we'll answer your question, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, brother. Okay, there you go, Rabbi. You got it, right?
Yes, I got it. Are you going to answer or respond? You want me to, or I didn't?
Well, you know what? Let me comment with the partial.
And then I will too.
With the partial thought, and then because my wife and I have had this conversation numerous times, she said leaving Christianity for her was quite traumatic because she was raised Catholic, her whole life dedicated, severely dedicated Catholic. I mean, never missed mass since she was like 5 years old, all the way up till she was like 35. And so she goes, well, what if we're wrong? What if we're rejecting the New Testament, we're following Judaism? What if we're wrong? And so my answer to her was, prove it. Prove that you're wrong in the text, because everything we're following right now seems to be proving correct in the text. So my simple answer would be, is if you're following something that doesn't seem to be, that doesn't make sense to you, I could see how you could be curious, but if it makes sense and all the math adds up, then you really have to put your trust in it. I mean, if your accountant tells you, you're going to get $3,500 back on your taxes, you can either be fearful that maybe she's wrong, maybe you'll actually, or just say, you know what, she's an accountant, I'm going to trust it and just go with it. And it's kind of how I told my wife we are to treat Tanakh. So we just need to believe what it says and go for it. Now the problem with answering Maximo's question is the scripture is not ultra clear on what it means for a Noahide in Olam Haba, in the world to come. It seems confusing when you go to Isaiah 57. And it says, that even the stranger among you should keep Shabbat, or whatever the case may be, all this other stuff. But then some rabbis say, well, that's talking about a convert, and some of them say, no, that's talking about the stranger, when it actually says son of the stranger in the text. So there's a lot of confusion, and I really don't know that there is an absolute, hardcore, direct, black and white answer for that question. That's where I hand it to you.
Okay. My turn?
Yes.
Here's the way I would answer it, not just for Maximo, but also for your wife and for you and for anybody else who has the question. You either believe in the Bible, the Tanakh, or you don't believe in the Bible, meaning the Tanakh. You either accept it as authoritative or you don't accept it as authoritative. You either accept the morality and ethics as a command from God, or you don't accept the morality and ethics listed there as a command from God. Once you've made the decision that the Bible is authoritative, the Tanakh is authoritative, then everything falls into place. Even if it is very unclear about what's demanded from the Gentile community, okay? Even if there's no club you on the head, if you're a Noahide, here's what you're supposed to do, okay? We can still read the Tanakh. We can still read the Torah. We can read the Bible as telling us the difference between good and bad, right and wrong, holy and profane. We can still see from reading the Bible what God wants from us. Okay, so you want to take a look, you want to say that the whole Noahide thing is fuzzy, fine. But if you accept the Bible as authoritative, if you accept the Bible as, for lack of a better term, true, then everything else falls into place. You do what the morality and ethics says, and you got to be right.
Okay, question. I need to insert.
Okay, wait. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, because you basically just said everything I just said. Okay, but what you didn't answer yet was the part about how does a Noahide fit in, because the text is talking about, like, here's a good example. Jeremiah 29:13 says, "And you shall seek me, and you'll find me if you seek with me with all your heart." But it's talking to the Jew. It's not talking to the Gentile.
Right. The whole point of the Bible in the Torah, and God spoke to Moses and said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them whatever." The commandments are clearly given to the people of Israel. The connection between God and human beings is clearly through the Jews. And if it's the Jewish rabbis who interpret the biblical text given to us by God that comes up with the concept of Noahidism, Noahide, whatever it's called, okay, Noahidity, how's that? Then you have to trust it.
Okay.
But let me, I hate to turn into Pascal, that stupid Pascal's wager, which is just problematic from the word go, but I will anyway. I hate to do it, but I will anyway. If the Bible is authoritative and given to the Jews, and the Jews are the ones most intimately aware of what it says, because it's our spoken language of Hebrew, and a person decides to throw in their lot based on their trust of the Bible as authoritative with the Jews and the Jewish interpretation, where they come up with Noahidism, okay, if it's wrong, won't your life still be better off? I'm not talking about this ethereal heaven.
That is a great point.
I'm not talking about afterlife.
Right.
I'm talking about the here and now.
Right.
Won't your kids be better off being told no idolatry, no blasphemy, no murder, no stealing, no illicit sexual union,
okay, so
humane treatment of animals, and established courts of justice to defend the first six and other things that come up.
I have had the same.
Won't they be better off in this world, the world we know about, the world we have at hand, if they follow it?
I have used that exact same point when I was talking to someone. This person was not an atheist, but we were talking about atheism in general. And I was like, you know what, at the end of the day, even if, and this is not the case, but even if I didn't have my full faith in Judaism, that maybe I was doubting so much in the Old Testament, right, Hebrew scriptures, I would still choose to follow that path anyway, because it's the one thing on this planet that makes the most sense on how to live a good humane life, and to really really cultivate relationships and to love people and to exist here in harmony. So even if I didn't believe it, I would still follow it anyway. I wouldn't become an atheist if they paid me. I'm not being rude. I'm just saying that atheism is. I've talked to dozens of them, and every one of them have different modes of thinking. And it's like I would rather just stick with what's simple and stick with the wisdom of Torah and apply these things to my life.
You want to see a great movie? Okay, whenever the issue comes up of why do bad things happen to good people, or is God a good God, or how can God allow people to suffer, and the whole issue of what is called theodicy, go take a look at Woody Allen's movie Crimes and Misdemeanors.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
It's an extremely important movie religiously for people who are religious.
Gotcha.
There's a scene in it where there's a Passover Seder, and you got a family around a table. It's Woody Allen's character's family. And to the left, no, it's not Woody Allen's family. I'm sorry. It's the guy who is the doctor, is the ophthalmologist. But at any rate, the point is that on film, on the screen, the family to the left are atheists. The family to the right are believers and Orthodox Jews. And the people on the left say to the people on the right, what happens if you're wrong? What happens if there is no God and there was no Sinai and there is no commandments because there's no commander to command them. And the father, leading the Passover Seder says, I'm still going to have a better life as a result of my beliefs, even if my beliefs turn out to be false.
Right.
Okay, and I will choose following the religion, even if ultimately there's no truth in it, because I know I will have a better life. Woody Allen himself, not just in the movie, okay, but Woody Allen himself made a statement, and I wish I could find it. I'll look for it again. But he says, when I see somebody who's a believer, all I can feel for that person is pity. And yet I know that he will have a better life than I will have. That's a verbatim quote from Woody Allen. Okay.
Okay.
There's a kid I know in my synagogue who made a statement once, probably parroting his father, who knows, or maybe kids in his school, and he makes the statement, religion is a crutch. Religion is a crutch. It's horrible. There is no God. I'm an atheist. Religion is a crutch. And whether you know it or not, I walk around on a cane.
Right.
Okay. And I picked up the cane and I pointed to it in front of him. And I said, I walk around with a cane. Are you going to take it away from me? Sometimes some people need a crutch.
Right. Absolutely.
Are you going to kick their crutch out from underneath them? Are you that cruel?
Right.
So even if you think religion is a crutch, sometimes some people need crutches.
And on that same note, I see people all the time walking around with a limp, refusing to walk with a crutch because they're too proud. And I say that, and people say, "How do you know they're saying that?" I've talked to people. I was like, "Why don't you walk?" I'm like, "I'm not going to walk around here like a cripple." I'm like, "Well, that's your choice, but you could be a lot more comfortable if you had that crutch."
And you know that people won't notice them limping because
Right.
Come on,
Rabbi. This is very necessary for the last question of this show, because it's actually
I saw something someone said and I need to respond to.
Well, let's do this one first.
Okay, go ahead.
But we do need to cut it short pretty quickly because we're about an hour and 10 now. So, Mr. I'm probably not going to say the name right, but Mr. A.E. Knapp on YouTube, he says he quoted who was Satan in 1 Chronicles 1. Chapter 21, now Satan arose up against Israel, and he moved David to count Israel. So if Satan works for God, why would God tempt David to do something that he shouldn't have done?
Well, why is it a bad thing to count the people? And the issue has to do with, well, frankly, what we now in our modern world might call a superstition.
Right.
But if you know the number of people, it's like you're tempting fate to have some of them killed.
Okay.
It's like if you know the number of people, it's like a bad luck thing to count people. As a matter of fact, traditionally in Judaism, you don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You say not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, and go on from there.
Count.
It's a superstition.
ABC, right. Now, I have a thought that just came to me, and I would like you to actually correct me with your opinion on this thing. So, first of all, my whole view of how the whole Tanakh works is there are books of prophets, right? There are books that could be historical in a sense. Well, the only parts of the entire Tanakh that are actual prophecies where God is like feeding the information to them are in specific prophecies within the book of the prophets. Now, the Chronicles are not actually in the prophets, I don't think, right? Those are in the writings.
No, they're not. They're the last books of the Tanakh.
In my opinion, if there is what could be, because this is actually a repeat. This isn't the only account of the story. And the first one doesn't say that Satan did it. It says that God actually moved him to it. So the point being is whichever one is closer to being the prophet would be the one I would go with. And this one could be whoever wrote it, their misconception of it. I mean, the reality of it is the only thing that is prophetic in Tanakh are where they're actual prophecies. Like I heard Rabbi Singer say one time, he said with Prophet Jeremiah or one of the two was confused. I think it was Jeremiah. Said it was Daniel, totally Daniel. There's like Daniel's a very confusing book all throughout, and he says that Daniel was concerned because he thought perhaps that this prophecy meant this, but later on he found out this, and that's all documented. right? So if that was all, if every single tiny letter in the entire Tanakh was God feeding the information, then God is schizophrenic, in my opinion. But that's not the case because you have human hands writing this stuff with their interpretation. They didn't have the context. We've got the entire Tanakh to work with. They didn't have that. We know we've got the history. We've got all the proofs. They didn't have that. They had some. They didn't have it all. So my opinion is here. In this one here, I think this was the author, the writer's viewpoint on who he thought was moving and why. This is not a prophecy. This is actually a historic account of what happened and some opinions that were actually flowed with it in the pen of the writer. That's my opinion.
Okay, it makes sense.
Okay.
I'm trying to find somebody who made a comment, and I can't think of who it is.
What was the context of it?
The comment basically was, I thought any angel who is used by God to like do a sting operation against human beings, he becomes the Satan. Okay.
Oh, because it's adversary. It's kind of like
right.
God is a title, not a name, sort of a thing. So Satan is more like a title. So
it is see, that's why it's the Satan.
It's Hasatan.
If you say to me, William,
right.
Hi, Rabbi,
right.
The word Rabbi becomes like a name.
Right. Okay.
But if you talk about the Rabbi, then that's a job description.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. So it is like an adversary. It's not the person.
Satan,
great.
That's like it's his
great.
name. It's not his name.
Very nice.
In the Hebrew, it's the Satan. That's a job description which any angel might possibly be able to fit.
Very
to
nice.
Fit to be. So I'm just telling him I think he had the right idea. Okay. There was another thing that I wanted to. I can't find it.
Yeah, that was very well said. That's a really great point. So,
by the way, good for you, Yasmin Coates. The word, that word should never be used anywhere in a Jewish context. You know where shiksa comes from?
What is shiksa? I didn't see that. See.
Somebody made a comment using the word shiksa. Shiksa is a derogatory term for a non-Jewish female. The masculine equivalent is shagets. Okay, shagets and shigza, except it gets slurred into shiktza. Okay, the shin gimel tzadi root basically means a creepy crawly on the ground.
Wow.
Like, not specifically, but like a cockroach.
Oh, wow.
And it's an insult to use that term, shagets or shiktza, for any non-Jewish person. Don't use the term, please.
Wow.
Live and learn.
Right.
Okay.
Rabbi, it's a minute. It's an hour 12. Let's go a little bit longer. Let's go. I want to refine a question. Okay. Mainly because I like the question, the one we just talked about with Mr. Knapp. We'll call this the final one because we are actually gone way over. If God really did move David to count the Israelites, why did he get mad at him? Now I'm not reading from the actual story itself, and I'm not referring to
Chronicles. But that's pretty much what happens. And that's why you had.
So why did he get mad at him if he told him to do it? Was it because he was testing him to see if he paid attention? I've done that with my kid before.
And my answer is, right now I'd have to look at the commentaries. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great
I have
question.
to refresh my memory. It's been a long time since.
Yeah, that's a really good question. My guess is that there's been probably one or two occasions over the past maybe 5 years where I've noticed some strange behavior from my son, and I was kind of testing to see if he was paying attention. So it's like one day I would tell him one thing and said, "Whatever you do, don't do this," and then the next day I'm catching this weird attitude from him, and I'm kind of like looking at him saying this out of confusion, saying, "David, why don't you go and do this?" I don't even remember what it was. I'm just giving you an example, just to see if he was paying attention. And then he turned around and just went ahead and did it when I told him not to. And I'm like, dude, I just told you yesterday, don't ever do that, no matter what. And some people might think I'm twisted for doing that, but I wanted him to see if the boy was paying attention. Maybe that was possible. I don't know. I didn't go back and read it too.
I'm sorry. I just don't remember. I'll have to look it up. I don't know.
That's a great question. We'll definitely look it up, though. That'll be a good question for later. So, well, I'll tell you what, this has been a really good show. Sorry, God. I will try, guys, to go and edit out the first 15 minutes if I can. I don't know how to
15
use...
15 or 20 or 25.
Yeah, we'll try to get you a clean start on everything if I can. So, but even if they If not, I'll actually put a note in there to fast forward to this marker so that way everybody knows how much time to skip to get right to the meat of the issue. So,
yeah, I hope you can delete it.
yeah, I think so. I think I can. I'll figure it out. We'll work something out. Right. So, very good. Rabbi, thank you so much for your time. I've always had a blast with you. And I love our viewing base. These guys they're brilliant. There's a lot of great questions out there. Even the ones that seem silly, I like those questions. Because
I like all questions.
It really, really makes you think. I mean, you want to hear, I'm not asking for an answer. But here's something I've thought for years, and I haven't visited it again until just now, so it's not like I've been pondering this for the past 3 years.
What is a respectable word? A respectable word is health, happiness, goodness, life, birth.
Rabbi.
A lot of words that are respectable.
Rabbi.
Yes.
I was talking to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading. Here, I'm not looking.
Okay, good. So regarding the questions, some of them may seem silly, but I really like these interesting questions, even if they may seem silly, because they might lead to somewhere. So one thing that I have had, Rabbi, put your hand up. There you go. Okay. One question I've pondered for for a long time. I haven't been thinking about it a lot, like hardly at all, for the past 3 or 4 years. But the thought was heavily on my mind for a while. And that was, what if, and don't take this seriously, but in my mind I was thinking back then, what if the sun in the sky really is God? He's saying don't worship the sun because he's trying to not get you to focus on him, to try to make you think that's really not him so you can focus on what's needed to be done. And man, I pondered like hundreds of variables of that. And for at the time, it made so much sense. It's like, if you really want somebody to focus on something, take their focus off of the main thing, if they can see it with their own eyes, make them think it's not there so they can really work on what's down below, right? And I'm thinking, in my thoughts, the sun is the only thing I can't figure out. How can a constant ball of gas never expire? That makes no sense. The stars in the sky make sense. Gravity makes sense. All this, but that one ball of gas that never extinguishes is like the burning bush. I'm thinking, how is it possible that it keeps burning? So in my mind, I was thinking maybe the sun really is God, and it's one place no one can actually go while they're alive, and it just made a lot of sense to me, And so it may sound stupid, but I'm telling you, the stupid questions lead.
Writes, the sun will expire.
Okay, good.
It may be billions of years or whatever it is, but it will in fact expire because its fuel will run out.
Right.
Okay, here's something from my youth.
Okay. Grade
school. We had to memorize. Well, we didn't have to memorize it. But you play it long enough, often enough for kids, they'll memorize it.
Okay.
The sun is a mass of incandescent gas, is a gigantic nuclear furnace where hydrogen is built into helium at a temperature of millions of degrees.
Very cool. Very cool.
That was a kid's cartoon, that they played for us as a way to learn science in a cute way or something like that.
Okay, so I'm gonna follow up with 7 simple words. I think 7. Make that 9. 9 simple words.
Yeah,
Are you ready?
Counting.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Mary Van eats many jelly sandwiches under Nancy's porch.
I'm happy to hear that about her. I hope she enjoys every one of them.
That was the thing we learned for the colors in the rainbow.
Violet,
no. That's not true. It was that was actually the planets. See, I knew I was missing something. There was 7 major colors, but anyway, the planets or something like that. Yeah, Mars, Venus. Yeah, that was the planets. Mary Van, Mars, Venus eats Earth, whatever,
Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus.
Yeah, that's Pluto. What it was. There you go. So Mary Van eats many jelly sandwiches under Nancy's porch. That's what we used for that. So, and there was one for the rainbow too, but I can't remember what it was. So. Okay, well, Rabbi, thank you. It's been fun. It's
always fun.
Always fun. And I really missed everybody yesterday, but oh my God, I was going through serious withdrawals. But what do? We got to wait for the holy days to move on, and so next week will be great. It's going to be fun. We should have a full schedule set up, and I've been getting lately more so than normal. I've been getting a lot of people requesting to get back into the testimonials again. Several have sent me their testimonials in short bullet form, which I really, really like. In fact, if you want to send me your testimony in bullet format, keeping it very simple, 5 to 7 words per sentence, use asterisks or number 1, boom, raised Christian, 2, boom, turned atheist, 2, 3, boom, went to jail. I don't know. Keep it simple. Entice me. The thing about it is, I typically, and it may seem kind of awkward, but I typically like to be the one to reach out to you guys for your testimonies rather than people trying to get me to want to come on the air. And I do the same thing with teachers too. I have people sending me emails all the time. Hey, please interview this. Let me come on your show. I've got great teachings, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't know why I can't do that. But in my mind, I want to experience it organically and find these people myself. And it triggers emotions and it triggers thoughts and it triggers energy. And that's kind of what drives me. If I pull somebody in that I'm not really confident with, to me it's boring and it's like I can't get into it. I'm sorry, I'm selfish in that matter. I like getting into my shows. That's why I like this one so much. So, but with that said, if you want to send me an email, send it to william@tanaktalk.com and send me your testimony. But here's the thing. I don't want just your it may seem like I'm being partial, and I am. I don't. If you were just a Sunday churchgoer and you left Christianity, Baruch Hashem, I'm very happy for you. But the testimonies I've had on the show, we've got over 30, I think, so far, and every one of them were pastors' kids, pastors' wives, something directly associated with people who are very, very, very heavily in their studies, because those are the ones that have the greatest impact. Not that your testimony doesn't count, because it does. But the point is, what we're trying to push on this channel are people who have actually gone to school for this stuff and found out that it was wrong. I know people who were Christian for 30 years, switched to being a Messianic teacher, bought Torah scroll, 3 or 4 $5,000, $10,000 Torah scrolls, built this huge Messianic synagogue, and then after 10 years of study, left everything to convert to Orthodox Judaism and move to New York or move to Israel. Those type of testimonies, mainstream Christians do not like to hear, because that makes them not feel comfortable in their boots. That's kind of why I'm going this way. So I've got a lot of great testimonies. I want to keep them in that same realm. If you are a preacher's kid or a preacher, ex-preacher, preacher's wife, whatever the case may be, and you are studied, you know your stuff, but then you left Christianity, that's the testimony that I'm trying to push right now. So send me a bullet form email with your brief testimony, something simple to read, something I can go through really quickly and say yes or no, boom, bada boom, bada bing. That's what I want. So if you guys are interested in that, please do so. And I'm probably within the next month or two, I'm probably going to start doing not heavily, not every week, but maybe once a month to kind of get back into it again, see how the response goes, and we'll go from there. So that's my goal. Rabbi, you had me so excited. You know what Rabbi did today? He called me. Well, we talked on the phone earlier today. What was it, 3 o'clock? 4 o'clock?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And Rabbi says, he goes, man, I really thought that I was going to be able to drive down there and surprise you.
Didn't work out.
That's okay. But it was fun, though, because you know what's funny is he's done that one time. You've been here like 5 times. No. But one time you never told me you were coming, and you showed up at my door. Well, you called me and said, William, I got one question for you. Can I use your bathroom or something like that? I was like, wait, what? I was like, what do you can use? And I was like, no way, you're here. It was a really, really cool surprise. Every other time has been planned. And so today I actually thought, because I tried to call you right before the show, and I was like 20 minutes, I told you 15 till, but about 20 till I called, and you didn't answer, and about 15 till came, and you didn't answer. I'm like, no way. He lying little turkey. So I went outside looking for you, and then you called me. I was like, dang, I was hoping you were actually outside.
I know. I wish I had been outside
too. Hey, that was so much fun though, right? Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun actually.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a long drive though. For you people who don't realize, driving from Houston to here ain't no joke. I mean, it's like an 8-hour shift of your working is doing nothing but driving. 8-9 hours traffic only. Yeah. So he drove, and he didn't even say that. He drove here, did the show, turned around, and went back home the same day.
Yep.
That's like, dang, that's crazy. So, but I loved it though. It was really awesome. That was spontaneous. That's cool. Rabbi, have a great night. You folks, have a great night.
You too.
Next week we'll be playing some music intro. But until then, peace out, yo. Have a great night. See ya on the other side. Take care, everybody.